her Queenie had a peep over the right shoulder, and she's going to blow them away. But Northerly, Danny Miller, pumping away, and Northerly wins the railway.
Welcome to Racing Rewind. Our panel will review and digest the Prime WA Saturday Thoroughbred meeting from 24 hours earlier. If you have an opinion, send a text to 0427 789 571.
Galaxy Star draws away from them. Pike Magician.
Yes, welcome along. It is Racing Rewind. Lochie and Michael. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning, Marty, Michael and listeners. Great to be in the studio this morning after what was a really good day out there at Ascot. Detonator Stakes Day, not exactly a real big feature here in WA, but it was a quality field and one of the better fields that we've seen in the Detonator in quite some time.
And one of the better wins as well. Good morning, boys. Morning, listeners. 1.446 million Maricino's won now.
Wow.
Won the race last year and trained perfectly for yesterday's race. First up, I think he was 70 days between runs and had to do it at both ends, crossed from the outside barrier, and he's just a marvel, isn't he, Maricino?
He certainly is.
Troy Turner will be a special guest too. We'll talk about that ride because he does ride him so well, doesn't he? He's almost a key to Maricino.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. It's crazy the record that Troy has on the horse compared to some other jockeys. You don't often see such a big discrepancy, but for whatever reason, he really goes for Troy.
He certainly does. He just seems to, for whatever reason, Troy just goes at the exact right moment. He gets his rivals off the bridle, and so many times we've seen horses loom up outside of him. Black Fantasy was the poor horse that had to do that yesterday. Looks like they're going to get him, and he just finds another length, and that's exactly what he's done throughout his whole career, and that's why he's won the prize money he has, as Michael touched upon.
Be interested to get Troy's thoughts on Woburn Gold as well. Was a nice return yesterday, came into the preparation undefeated, so Troy's teaming up with some pretty nice horses at the moment.
He certainly is. From the steward's room yesterday, there was a little bit happening in terms of some fines and also suspensions. Braden Garth was unfortunately suspended for 9 days aboard his ride on Staden in the opener, so he'll commence that suspension tonight, and that will end on the 5th of March. And then there are a few other fines. Trainer Brock Luthwaite was fined $1,000 for clapping in a manner of disdain towards apprentice Brandon Louis in the mounting yard following the running of race number 7.
500 of which will be suspended if he doesn't reoffend in the next 2 years, it says here in the steward's report.
So that was an interesting one. And then Neville Parnham was also fined.
That's an interesting one too, wasn't it?
Yeah, $250 for essentially, you should probably go read it yourself, but a staff member just put some antiseptic treatment in regards to a graze that a horse had sustained prior to the running of race number 9. So poor staff member's probably done the right thing and wanted to look after the horse.
Yep.
And Neville's copped a $250 fine for it.
Yeah, because I think you have to get approval for any type of race day treatments.
Yep. So was anything said to Brandon Louis about his ride on Corn Cob then?
Well,
the stewards?
By the stewards? No.
So what do you think of his ride? I think it bordered on ridiculous.
Why?
Because he's kicked up and then put the brakes on too quickly, and then one or two... and I'll say why. Have a look at where the first 3 in the race came from.
Yeah.
So they've obviously gone
second,
too fast.
last, third, last, yes.
They've gone too fast.
Yes.
So that's why. And then he got beaten 11 lengths. Mm. So do you think it was a good ride?
No, I don't know.
Would you like him to ride one of your horses that way?
No.
Okay.
But I don't think the ride on Brock's horse. Brock was obviously frustrated with Corn Cob.
Yep.
And his own rider is pouring the pressure on himself.
So one or two, so both riders,
exactly.
Both riders in, and so you're making fools of yourselves.
And that has been a theme over the last couple of weeks where questions probably need to be asked, and they haven't.
And it wasn't just here either. I saw it in Sydney twice, 2 jockeys going head-to-head, toe-to-toe, and giving their horses absolutely no chance. Mm-hmm. Again, read Stewart's report, one of them was one of the races, the jockeys were pulled in, but the other they weren't. Like, just pull them in.
I agree. At least ask the question.
Read and just say, if your clock in your head is that bad that you can't work out how quick you're going early in a race, then I suggest that Peter Hall and the the apprentice bosses need to get them and teach them, put a clock in their head and teach them how to ride out in front.
Not a bad call.
The first 4 horses across the line in that race were all in fastest run home order. So Bonjoy won, quickest run home, Sobor second, and so forth. So clearly it was a race that was set up for backmarkers.
Okay. One off the text line. Well done, Marty. Finally, someone has the balls to bag a jockey. No one ever said a word. They just don't care when they stuff up a ride. There you go. So there you go. Maybe you two should grow a set. Race number 1, the McMahon Handicap over the 2,200 metres.
The corner, and they're going to be powering. Back last of all about the crack. Filthy Habits, only a neck, come a little bit closer, trying valiantly to get on equal terms. A length and a half, Zachariah Bow stayed, and he's a Zeb Canellan's Legacy for the moment, not in it. At the 200, Filthy Habits kicks on the inside of come a little bit closer. The old fellow, Zachariah Bow, keeps coming at them. The 10-year-old, he goes up, grabs the lead from Filthy Habits, who keeps coming back. Filthy Habits, Zachariah Bow, they're going to go to it. Nothing much in it whatsoever. They went to it, bob of the heads. Filthy Habits got it. Filthy Habits over Zachariah Bow. He's a Zeb back near the inside.
I'm going to say, if this was one of the best front-running rides you'd hope to see, Lucy Fiore, she rode this beautifully.
Had a very soft time of it out in front, and from there was able to pinch a winning margin over the concluding stages. It actually looked like Zachariah Bow may have even got ahead of Filthy Habits over the concluding stages, but Filthy Habits, I think, courtesy of the soft time he had of it out in front, was able to kick back late. Nice win. Where he goes to next was an interesting discussion point post-race. By the sounds of things, the camp aren't keen to send him down to Esperance for next weekend's Esperance Cup. But either way, if he continues to race on speed anywhere in the first 4, I think he's fairly tactically versatile. It looks like Brandon and Lucy Fiore are going to have plenty of fun with this horse.
Yeah, they certainly have. He's only a 4-year-old by I'm All the Talk. I didn't realise I'm All the Talks actually get over that type of ground, but he's picked up close to $200,000 now already from including West Speed bonuses, and well rated there, had an absolute picnic in front, made it near impossible for the horses back in the field to be making any ground. But Zachariah Bow, to his credit, he's just, I'm not sure of the reason why, but he's just gone to a new level. He's a 10-year-old this preparation, and
just needed some time.
Yeah, he won with 58 kilos at Narrogin, 2 starts ago in a lowly 52 plus. He then went to Ascot midweek and won again, and then steps to a Saturday up to 2,200 metres, where he's not really known for being a genuine staying type, and goes close. So he's clearly in a rich vein of form. He's a Zeb, battled on well, come a little bit closer, sat outside Filthy Habits in the breeze, and was assisted by that steadier tempo. But the horses back in the field, like Canellan's Legacy, was always going to be disadvantaged by how slowly they went. And she's a nice filly, I think. She was stepping up from maiden grade, from a nice maiden win to Saturday level for the first time, and they just didn't go fast enough to bring her into it.
Exactly right. Whether she's continues on an Oaks path, time will tell. It wouldn't surprise me if she would. We often see the Oaks not exactly the strongest form references, so if you can get that little bit of black type on these fillies' pages, they become all the more valuable. All About the Crack was another horse in a similar sense to Kinnelan's Legacy, ran home in the second fastest last 600 of this race, and yet finished 8th, beaten 4 lengths. So it was just impossible for those horses back in the field to make up the required ground. So I'd certainly be forgiving of their efforts.
Le Cartier was actually a really good run. Went around 100 to 1. First start for the new trainer in Lee Murray, and was a month between runs, but actually was behind Canellan's Legacy and was stronger through the line and beat her home. So I thought that was a pretty good effort for the outsider.
Well, the 2-year-olds went around in the second of the day. This was the National Pump and Energy Plate over the 1,000 metres.
Then came King Hit, being followed by Live Lucky, who's got up on the inside next of all, just in front of Opal Tango. Well back behind them, Bondi Bay, who'll be out there very wide coming around the turn. Bubbles in Rio, and Clever Cond is next to last. They balanced up though, and Blue Rocket, the newcomer, kicked away from this will show you. It's Blue Rocket, hands and heels and going gangbusters. 120 to go. It's all Blue Rocket. Blue Rocket drawing away from this will show you, followed by Siren Assault, but a great debut by Blue Rocket. Blue Rocket won it from this will show you. Siren Assault third. Live Lucky got right up on the inside to grab fourth from Boys Line.
About these blue points, they've got plenty of toe, and again Neville Duncan getting his matchups right breeding wise. Blue Rocket showed plenty of that. Beats This'll Show Ya. Siren Assault, the short price favourite, back in third.
She is just absolutely rapid. I didn't actually think she had this amount of early speed, but there yesterday just looked like the ultimate professional. You watched the first 100 metres of this race again, and Tash Faithful hardly even moved on her to be able to find the front within the first couple furlongs of the race, and from there just allowed her to roll into the race. Once again, it's been a theme of the Pierce brothers throughout this season. We've seen smaller fillies, they've just got it right with them. Obviously, Sinful Living and now Blue Rocket there yesterday. Just so professional. Bounces straight to the lead, rail like a greyhound, had the other horses off the bridle at the 400 metre mark. And how often do we see it in these two-year-old races? In fact, any race at Ascot, if you can be professional and rail like that at Ascot, put a margin on your rivals, you are always going to be awfully hard to run down, and that's exactly what occurred yesterday.
Yeah, any leader that can get that separation and immediately on straightening is going to be hard to run down, but she actually still ran home in really good late splits, ran home in 34.06, which I think was the third fastest of the race. And so she did it at both ends for a 12-horse field. I thought that was one of the more impressive factors of her win, but she's always showed ability. She's always been really professional, so hopefully she can get some black type on her page now in some of those upcoming features. Paul, this will show you though, she can't draw a gate. She's only a tiny little filly, and she's been super, super tough. The money's been strong for her both runs this preparation. She was really brave behind who I think's the best two-year-old we've seen so far this season in Golden Kathleen at Bunbury last start. She drew barrier 10 that day. She drew 11 yesterday, had to work and get to the breeze, but she's still stuck on really bravely to run second. I really liked the run of Siren Assault. I loved her in the yard yesterday, and she was just stepped slow. She was doing everything wrong behind the gates. I actually thought she was a chance of getting scratched. She was taking that long to load, and she had a bit of a bee in her bonnet, but the way she finished off after getting held up, I thought that was pretty professional for a horse that we've seen jump and run, and for her to do that against what is probably her preferred pattern, I think is pretty encouraging.
I agree. Clearly, Sean and Jake Casey have a filly that they can really work with. I was going to make her a horse to follow, but I just can't make a horse to follow after seeing them prove so difficult to load. I'm always thinking, have they had enough? Has it come all too soon for them? I know that was only her first run for the campaign yesterday, but I just don't like to see it. But it could just be her temperament-wise, and that might be something that Sean and Jake have to work with over the next couple of weeks, because undoubtedly she has plenty of ability. Another horse that actually caught the eye at a really long quote was Opal Tango. Hardly had any room throughout from the 500 metre mark almost all the way through to the line. Started a very big quote. I know that Scott Embry put her into his first four and actually ran home okay under very little pressure. But in 6 lengths, might be one to keep an eye on next start.
And Live Lucky as well stepped slowest and made really good late ground against the rail, and also didn't mind the efforts of Rise to Glory, who had no luck, 3 deep, no cover. And I think Bondi Bay will make a nice horse, but just probably next preparation. He's a big lump of an animal and more of a 3-year-old type.
Just with Sean and Jake Casey, their horses ran really well at Caulfield yesterday. Hanchy was unlucky, held up, got out late, sprinted and was in that wall of horses for second. And Dom to Shoot, he was tough. He had to haul the field up and chase the runaway leader there. And I think if you have a look in the sectionals, I think the 8 to the 6 or the 6 to the 4, he's run the fastest of the race. So he was really good, Dom to Shoot.
Absolutely. He's just a tough horse. He doesn't know how to run a bad race. You just love to see some of our WA horses get in. Obviously, they're at the top level. It's hard to dodge these really brutal run races. Yep. But obviously, we saw last start, Bustler had to deal with both Buffalo River and Pride of Jenny. And there yesterday, Dom to Shoot had to tow up the field to Buffalo River, and they just take them out of their comfort zone. But I thought he was still very, very brave and certainly on track for wherever he goes to next.
And the horse you asked about, was it last week? My Bella May. They'll be training over there as well, as you would well know. Race number 3, the Tab Touch West Speed Platinum Handicap. It was a fortnight ago, wasn't it? 1,000 metres. And what about the win of Halatorian?
Flying Arabian covering a bit of ground out there, wider running fourth. Then over on the rails to Divine Flirt as they'd set sail for home, and back under heavy pressure at the top of the straight on the inside of Kripolenko. My Baby Blue Jean serving it up to Some Sort. A length and a half to Bisector. Halatorian is starting to finish full of running right down the outside. He's coming with a turn of foot, Halatorian. My Baby Blue Jean, Bisector. Range up, grab Some Sort. Halatorian keeps coming. He'll get there. Halatorian first up for the lane stable. One from Bisector, My Baby Blue Jean or Some Sort.
Okay, Halatorian charges down the middle of the track to win. Tell us about this for new trainer Michael Lane.
Lovely win. Well done to the new connections. Michael Lane having his first start with Halatorian. He's been a horse that I guess looked like he was on his mark for a long time. This time last year, he actually wasn't far off them in a Pinjarra Classic, so he's dropped a lot of ratings points since, but I think he just needed a really good break to just have a rest, and then a new environment. And Michael Lane and his team have done a wonderful job with the horse, clearly. Luke Campbell from that wide alley was able to get him to relax once he found a little bit of cover, and from there had to loop the field, and I thought it was a good effort in the end that he actually followed the horse into the race that finished a distant last, so he had to really circle the field and found the line really well. Obviously, the weakest race he's ever faced for a long, long time, but either way, it was good to see this little horse bring plenty of joy to his connections because he's been such a good horse to them.
100%. Good placement. Hadn't seen that sort of company for a long, long time. Fresh environment. He's actually a 2-time 66-plus winner and a 72-plus winner, so if you ever get those sort of horses racing a West Peak Platinum grade, they're naturally going to be hard to beat. It was just a matter of whether or not Laney was able to get him back somewhere near his best, and he's clearly done a good job with him, the stable, and it was probably a better win than looks on paper because Flying Arabian flushed him on the corner, and he actually had to make it the corner a bit wider than what Luke Campbell would have wanted, but he ran home in 33.7, hit the line brilliantly, only one of two horses to break 34 in the race, and hopefully they can give him the confidence to go on with it now. Bisector was pretty solid there in second, had a nice run throughout, was beaten narrowly. I thought Some Sort was pretty brave, looked quite big in condition, and which naturally hadn't raced for, I think it was almost 12 months since his last start, so I thought that was a really brave effort to do it at both ends and be beaten narrowly. And My Baby Blue Jean was sharply improved. Divine Flirt, probably only fair. I got it held up a little bit, but I thought was a bit disappointing, all things considered. Perhaps she's just not a 1,000-metre horse. Best form is over a bit further. And Requisitions, going okay, better than reads on paper anyhow. Just got held up a bit yesterday and is just due for a little bit of luck, but he's a horse that's hard to catch.
Exactly right. You look at this whole field, Halatorian included, most of them have probably seen better days. They're racing honestly, but in this type of grade, in this field, a lot of it is going to come down to who gets the best run, who draws the best barriers moving forward, because as we've seen from first to fourth, there's not a lot between them, and you'd think Halatorian now graduates back to a more genuine Saturday race now. So between Bisector, Some Sort, My Baby Blue Jean, Divine Flirt, even Requisition, they're a very even bunch.
Yeah, Divine Flirt was very, very disappointing. Wouldn't be surprised if she's at the breeding barn come the next breeding season.
How about Luke Campbell? Where's he? That win was his first broker losing sequence of about 25 rides. Whereabouts is he at the moment?
Keeps getting suspended, unfortunately, I think, Lochie.
Yeah, I think Luke would be disappointed in himself in that, yeah, as Michael touched upon, he's had a couple back-to-back suspensions, and as a result of that, he hasn't been able to build the momentum that he probably would like. I think once he eventually gets some continuity in the saddle, the winners will come, but at this stage, he's just been a little unfortunate that he keeps getting rubbed out, but hopefully, with some continuity, he'll be able to just churn out some doubles and trebles like we've seen him do before.
Yeah, I guess coming from injury, it did take him a while to sort of find his feet again, which is the same for most jockeys, let alone an apprentice, which is understandable, but probably hasn't quite reached the heights that we were expecting so far, but hopefully with a clear run of it, with less suspensions, less injuries, and like Lochie says, a bit of continuity, we can see him deliver his potential.
Yeah, just get a good look at it and build on some confidence. Race number 4, the Valet Brian Richards handicap over the 1,200 metres.
Inside the 500, had Olivia's Me Mama off the steel very quickly. Sun Bronze afforded no luck. Wooburn Gold following Cheeky Charlotte. So the two undefeated horses close to each other at the top of the straight. Cheeky Charlotte with a kick coming off the bend. Cheeky Charlotte by a length and a half, sticking to its guns. Wooburn Gold, Cheeky Charlotte down to the 150, and Angel Undercover. Here's Angel Undercover sprouting wings. Angel Undercover storms up. It grabbed them both, put them away, and Angel Undercover wins it. Angel Undercover scored from a three-way photo for second. Wooburn Gold by me.
Harry Angel filly. She was impressive again. She's now 3 from 5. How do you rate her, Loch?
Right up there, Mart. I'm not sure where they go to next because she looks like a real sprinting type of filly, but yeah, I think she has black type written all over her. The way she's able to do it both ways now. We saw last start, Matty Derrick kick her out, settle outside the lead, and on that occasion she was awfully tough to the line, but I think she's actually ridden better in the manner she was ridden yesterday. She was 1 out, 2 back, then was popped off and got on the back of Sun Bronze at around the 500 metre mark, and from there travelled into the race really nicely. Once she balanced up, found the line really, really nicely. Ran overall time 109.90, so they've ran good time, and she ran home in 34 flat. I think she is a very, very good filly. Had to carry 57.5 there yesterday after the claim of Matty Derrick. As I said, I'm not sure where she goes to next, but undoubtedly she has black type potential.
Yeah, 100%. Don't often see them do that when they break 110. For that reason, I really like the run of Cheeky Charlotte. She actually threw a shoe in running as well, and she must have set a really good tempo if they've broken 110, and she was pretty good until about the 100 metre mark, and then just kept fighting, which is what I liked over the final stages. Nice type of a filly. I think she's a follow, and Wooburn Gold as well. Went into yesterday undefeated, tracked Cheeky Charlotte in running and just got over the top of her. The run from the Albany Maiden was pretty cheeky. Why Me went around $26. Watching the race, especially slow-mo, it looks like the horse ran second, actually ran fourth. It was that close between second and fourth, so you're pretty stiff if you were on at the big each-way odds, but you think that horse would be very, very hard to beat, dropping back to a maiden of some sort. One horse I wanted to touch on was Call of Duty. Nice type of a horse, showing plenty of ability. I wouldn't be surprised if he's just thinking about it a little bit too much at the moment. I think he's still is he still a colt?
I think so.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's might need a snip. So we'll wait and see what happens there, because he looks like he's...
He won't be sending you a Christmas card.
Even in the yard, he's a beautiful type of a horse, but he has a good look around, and you just watch him sort of travel, not travel. I just get the impression that he might be a horse that would be a really different animal come later in the season as a gelding.
I agree. You had to see his maiden win to believe it. He just exploded once Chris Parnham got him out into clear air down there at Bunbury, and since then he just hasn't looked like the same horse, so I completely agree with you.
And remember when Grant was actually strapping him that day, because he was a bit of a handful behind the scenes, I think. So maybe that in itself suggests that he's quite a boisterous type who... maybe as the preparation goes on, he's just trained off a bit.
Okay, one more before the half-time break, and it was race number 5, the Greycroft Trophy. It was over the 1,200 metres.
Got a length clear from Flying Missile on the outside. Over on the inside to Capital Flight, Sisu Warrior. Carberry's hard at work on Live to Tell, because they're sprinting, they're flying, coming off the turn. Ice Picnic, it led by nearly 2. Over on the outside, Flying Missile, Capital Flight, the inside, Sisu Warrior. Live to Tell, she's picking up. Ice Picnic, still the leader though. Sisu Warrior's the danger, the favourite can't win. Ice Picnic, Sisu Warrior, Ice Picnic, the ex-Vic has just won from Sisu Warrior. Defending or Live to Tell, they photoed third together, not sure about it. And then came Flying Missile.
A little bit to talk about in this race. First off, the win, Ice Picnic, ex-Victorian from Kieran Maher's stable, now with Dan Morton, and Brad Parnham gets the money.
A lovely big horse in the yard, wasn't he, Michael?
Beautiful type. Yeah, really nice horse, and... by all reports, there are a lot of people from Ascot base that backed this horse yesterday, so I can only assume that there was that he's been lighting the track up behind the scenes.
Exactly right. From that alley, looked a fraction sticky on paper, but Brad Parnham just used his initiative to roll forward, and from there we know how well Brad rates his mounts out in front. Gave a good kick upon straightening, and from there was just really tough all the way to the line. To me, it looks like he has the scope to go to 1,300 or 1,400 metres in time and just be that tough on-speed galloper. But Dan Morton suggested that he doesn't think the horse has to lead moving forward. He just seems like a really tactically versatile horse. So smart move from the connections to bring him west, bring him to the Morton team, and they've been very well, I guess, rewarded with a first-up win here in the West.
And he's raced up to 1,400, won over 1,300 metres, so you'd think there'd be a bit more improvement in him. He's even though he's a nice type, he did look like that in the yard as well, but perhaps he's just a horse that is that stocky, sort of strong type, but he wouldn't be surprised to see him go on with it. The second horse was a really good run in defeat in Sisu Warrior. Looked really good yesterday, trialled up well and missed narrowly. Defending was a cheeky run after missing the start. Big rising grade for him, but he was only beaten the length in a really good performance. But big talking point is Live to Tell. I think this filly either had a slot or was about to have a slot for the Quokka, and
she won't anymore.
You wouldn't think so off of that effort. $1.95. She probably looked like there was a touch of improvement to come, but I don't think it matters. A horse like that with so much ability, you'd think if she was 70 or 80% right, she should have just gone there and won yesterday. And the thing that got me was probably the last 100 metres when a horse like Defending, who was coming out of graduation, a West Speed Platinum type of level, was a bit stronger to the line than her. I thought that last 100 metres was probably the telling factor. She still ran home in the fastest splits, and if she had have savaged the line and looked like a bit unlucky, it'd be a different story, but bit plain.
Exactly right. If any of the current Quokka slot holders or the horses confirmed, I should say, were in that race, what do? They would have beaten this field by 5 lengths. And so with that in mind, and just reading between the lines, I think as Simon Miller touched upon on a few occasions, she had a slot, but it just hadn't been officially announced. I suspect that whoever was the slot holder behind Live to Tell, they were waiting to see her return, and then it would be announced.
Mm-hmm. Which is fair enough. You want to see
exactly right. For a horse that hadn't been,
this exact reason.
For a horse that hadn't been to the races in a year, and now that she's performed in the manner in which she did there yesterday, I'd be surprised if she raced on this preparation, and I'd be surprised if she ends up in the Quokka.
Clearly she's had her issues behind the scene, given that she hasn't raced for those 10 or 11 months, so perhaps she's a filly that has just needs that bit of management. Simon's done a good job with her to get her back, and she trialled up well enough, but perhaps race day pressure, when the pressure does go on like that, she's just still feeling something, or I'm not too sure what her issues are, but hopefully we can see her back to her best later in the year if her preparation comes to an end, or if it does remain, she may well go to another ratings race in a couple of weeks and brain them and turn things around. Who knows?
Towards the end of this program, let's go through the horses that you've got nailed in for the Quokka at this stage. 25 minutes away from 9 o'clock. Is that it for the Grey Croft Trophy for you guys?
That's it.
You are listening to Racing Rewind on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
Corner, Rupert's Empire leads the way. At the 400 now, they come onto the point of the turn. Rupert's Empire, almost a length. Sky Duke, Bayzid has worked. Now pushing clear for Garth, and getting to plenty of open air is Tycoon Harry. And so as they go to the 200, Rupert's Empire, Tycoon Harry have dashed away from them. Tycoon Harry in front. Rear Admiral is starting to finish, full of running down the outside. Tycoon Harry in front, close to home from Rupert's Empire. Tycoon Harry wanted a long neck. Rupert's Empire, a length and a half away behind them. Third, Rear Admiral, and behind them...
Well, Locke, tell us all about the win of your horse, Tycoon Harry.
Nice win, lovely ride from Braden Garth. Things didn't exactly go to plan in the early stages of the race, but I think the most fortunate thing about yesterday and the way the race was run was that Bayzid was slow out as well, and that meant that Rupert's Empire was, I guess, a surprise leader of the race, and from there that allowed Tycoon Harry to settle in the box seat. Braden just said he had so much horse underneath him that he was able to get underneath Sky Duke and Brad Parnham, and from there he found the line really, really nicely. He still had a little think about things in the concluding stages, but he's now a winner of 4 from 7, and that's a great record for a really nice 3-year-old.
Absolutely, nice horse. 2 lengths from second to third as well, so there was a good little margin there, but the race certainly didn't eventuate how many people thought. Bayzid looked the clear leader on paper, but when he was slow away, everything just changed, and Tycoon Harry, who doesn't often jump the fastest either, he ended up leaders back, but just was travelling so well, and Braden was able to bullock his way into the clear and win nicely from a surprise performance from Rupert's Empire, who performed really, really well, went around a generous quote first up in Saturday grade, and has shown glimpses throughout his career, but I'm sure the camp would have been pleased with that effort. Rear Admiral's been up quite a while. I think I remember talking about this mare in sort of during the carnival in November. We're in March next week, so she's racing pretty well considering. I don't think she's won a race this year, so this preparation, so she's probably been a bit disappointing overall, but or perhaps she just hasn't lived up to what we've expected from her, but she's still been a model of consistency with lots of placings. And Detonator was a cheeky run, ran home in 33.53 first up. Duck Eggs next to its name first up previously from 7 attempts, now 8 attempts, but I think that was a pretty good run first up. But all credit to Tycoon Harry, sat leaders back and still ran home the fastest, 33.25, breaking 58 overall. Pretty stylish win.
Ruler Rocket, I thought he was only fair to the line. Bruce Watkins, pre-race, I interviewed him and he was concerned perhaps about the 60 kilos in this grade. And for mine, that's how he raced. He travelled into it reasonably well, but just didn't really let down under the heavy weight once he eventually balanced up. For mine, he's a better horse than that, and I think Bruce still can have plenty of fun with him moving forward, but perhaps he needs to go up in grade, down in weight to then see the best of him.
Sky Duke was disappointing. I really liked this horse from the yard yesterday. Was able to get to the breeze without too much trouble in the end. One of the outs, Rupert's Empire was able to stick on and run second when leading, but Sky Duke dropped out to run last, essentially, when finishing 7th, beaten 6.5. Bayzid,
he was perhaps a shade disappointing as well, but had to do it the hard way. Tiana Robertson has done such a wonderful job with this horse throughout this campaign. He's had a long campaign and he's already up to genuine Saturday company. We know at his best, he's just such a fast 1,000-metre horse, but the fact that he hasn't stepped all that cleanly his last 2 starts, that might suggest he's ready for a break and he'll come back and win plenty more 1,000-metre races just because he's so fast out of the machines.
57.84, he wasn't slouching around either. They ran pretty quick times out there yesterday, Mike.
Yeah, they did. They broke 1:10 in one of the earlier 1,200-metre races, 58 in this race, of course, and even the mile race, the next one was run pretty solid time.
Well, let's go to this next race as well. An impressive performance by the Machino mare.
Respite in front leads the way by 3/4 on Material Witness. Now being stoked up and around the heels, Birdie Eagle looking for the way clear behind the Mace Command as the grey starts to run on. Cash Away down the outside, followed further back by Bonjoy. So War, no run, Butley led. Material Witness went to the lead, not for long. Bonjoy's got them from last. Bonjoy races up, goes to the lead, trying to go with her So War, but Bonjoy draws clear. Bonjoy came away, won it by a length. Second home, So War. Candlelight Supper might have got third from Cash Away. Material Witness.
Building up a terrific record, didn't she, Bonjoy? 13 starts, 7 wins now. 282,000 in prize money.
Not bad. Not bad.
Bit of a surprising drifter late yesterday as well. She was into $1.60 at one stage and she jumped $2.20, but didn't stop her.
No, it didn't. Clint Johnson Porter just rode her with so much confidence. I think Clint was assessing the race from back in the field. In fact, he was last in running, and I think Clint knew that they were really setting a good clip throughout, and that meant that at whatever stage, Bonjoy and those back in the field were going to be brought into the race, and that's exactly what occurred. He just didn't move a muscle until essentially the 300-metre mark, and from there she found the line really, really stylishly. So War was a surprise packet at a very big price, having his first start for Mitch Pateman.
Where did that come from?
And Holly Watson, I know, but Bonjoy, she is a really, really nice mare, and I love the fact that Jason Miller has plans to hopefully set her for a Starstruck and a Latrice come summer carnival time, because I think those races are going to suit her down to the ground.
Absolutely. Highly progressive, nice type of a mare with a wicked turn of foot and versatile distance-wise, so it's pretty exciting, ticks a lot of boxes. So War, really surprising performance yesterday. Only 2 weeks between runs, joining a new stable. So I'm not sure what Mitch has done in that fortnight, but he has a terrific record with cast-off gallopers, and race was run to suit there yesterday, but was still a really, really good performance. Candlelight Supper's been racing well all preparation. I think she snuck under the guard. Even yesterday she was 40-1, but her first couple of runs back were very, very good for a staying type of the mare. I think she is in for a win, not too far away. Cash Away was okay, backed up off 7 days, but Candlelight Supper just got over the top of him over the final stages. And I think Material Witness was really brave. Ran 5th, beaten 4.5, but considering the pressure that was on from the breeze, Corn Cob dropped out to run last, beaten 11. It's a pretty tough effort, really, all things considered, by Material Witness. Disappointment of the race was Birdie Eagle. Lobbed one out, one back in the end. Appeared to have a lovely run in transit. I know they went quick and probably got gassed considering it with the 60 kilos, but he's probably been showing a bit more than that.
Yeah, I agree. To be beaten just under 6 lengths with the run he had. I know they went really hard, but he still didn't really do a great deal of work early, and from there I thought he was going to be in the perfect position to pounce, but was bitterly disappointing late.
Budley Ladd, a roughie in the race, never saw daylight for the whole straight.
Did he really?
Didn't see that. Okay.
Didn't catch the eye on the inside.
And, yeah, I think it was probably making a similar run as Candlelight Supper, but didn't get much luck there as well because Candlelight Supper tracked it in the run, was 4 back the fence, and Budley Ladd was 3 back the fence, and Candlelight Supper got out when Budley Ladd stayed in. Yep. So it was went around a big price, so perhaps that could be one. Could be a Maddie next start, Mart.
And he's an older horse, so he probably just needs those few runs to get into his gears, and from there, if he can find a race without a great deal of top-end speed, clearly not the case yesterday. He always does his best work out in front, and that's when we might see a price about him next start.
I'll make Candlelight Supper a follow, though. I think up to a staying distance, she can be hard to beat in coming runs.
Main event of the day was the reliable asset maintenance Detonator Stakes, and it was over the 1,800 metres.
Is he trying to stay with him? Go Bella third, but has covered ground. Queen Elena being pushed up behind them from No Apology. They set sail for home now. Maraschino just in front. Black Fantasy is coming after him now, and so they're having a great stoush. Maraschino, Black Fantasy clear of Go Bella. Maraschino finding though, digs in now. He hits the reserves, gets away by a length. Black Fantasy, and he'll go back to back with a big bang in the Detonator. Maraschino won from Black Fantasy. Casino 17 finished off very well.
Had old Cobb up and about right from the off. Don't worry about that. He's one of our favourites, Detonator, and so is Maraschino, back-to-back in this race. Troy Turner is the man on top. He knows how to ride this horse to a win, and he joins us on Racing Rewind. Hi, Troy.
Good morning, Marty. Good morning, boys.
Morning, Troy. Congratulations again on yesterday's win. What are your thoughts going into a race when Lou legs you aboard Maraschino? You must not have ridden too many horses like him throughout your career.
No, he's one in a million probably. He's quite a bold front-running type, as you know, but he just keeps producing and it just comes back better each preparation, which is quite amazing in itself.
What were you thinking in the run there yesterday? To the eye, it looked like you had a relatively soft time of it in the early stages of the race, albeit having to work hard from that outside alley. Are you almost reminding yourself that you need to go a little earlier than you usually would on any regular horse?
Yeah, he's a bit like that. Probably, depending on the run he's got in transit, is what you probably need to push the button a bit earlier than later. Yep. Just take a bit of sting out of their legs because, as you know, he's a hard horse to get over if he can roll along at a good tempo and then kick off the corner.
Troy, you've ridden him 11 times, 5 wins in a couple of seconds. You have the best record on the horse. He's a bit of a quirky type. Lou always makes mention of the fact that he takes a good half an hour or so to catch on race morning. Is he a bit of a quirky type to ride?
I honestly find him quite good to ride, but as you know, I didn't ride him as a young horse. He has taken a long time to get to where he is now, so I've been fortunate enough just to get on him at the right time.
Yep.
As you know, I'm riding his full brother today, and he's much the same as him as a young horse, so he's got good potential going ahead as well. So, but he's a very raw horse.
Yeah,
same as him when he was a young boy.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get to Frappuccino shortly. What about Woburn Gold? That was a nice return in a fast run race yesterday.
Yeah, it's probably just speed was just probably a little bit hot for her. They broke 110, and just tracking up the leader probably just took the sting out of the late. But still a great effort. But the winner won quite impressive as well.
What are the team's plans for her moving forward? Is she a filly that could potentially stretch out in trip now, or do you really feel she's better suited at these shorter course trips?
I got off her yesterday feeling she probably would be better a bit further where she could just rest a little bit. Probably drew too well and I used the barrier. Maybe if she drew out a bit, I might have been the one chasing them down. So I think she'll stretch out a bit further.
And an exciting day at Pinjarra today. You team up with Tricks of the Trade, a horse you've obviously had a terrific affinity with throughout his career, but also Frappuccino that you prefaced earlier, full brother to Maraschino. Even money favourite today after one of the best black booking type of runs you could see on debut a couple of weeks ago, but got a bit of a task today. Barrier 14 and capacity field 1,000 to 1,400. Is he a bit of a risk?
Well, he is, only because he's got natural raw ability, but he's still learning. The stable understand that he's still learning and he's still got to learn what it's about. But when he does, when the penny drops, I think he'll be a very smart horse. So, we'll just have to wait and see what sort of run we get today.
What are your expectations for Tricks of the Trade this afternoon? First up with 62 kilos on his back.
Yeah, the horse is doing very well. It's a really nice race that he's in today, and obviously he's got the big weight, but I'm sure he'll run really well.
Jagsy, all the best today and continued success. You're riding in terrific form at the moment. Well done.
No worries. Thank you, guys.
He's a beauty. Troy Turner. Let's go back and listen to the beaten jockeys.
Jaranowski, Casino 17.
Great run. There's going to be chances in these cups coming up. Thanks.
Michael Poy, Tony Spirit.
Happy enough with him. Drew 2, blinkers off. Hopefully we'll improve with it.
No apology, Brett Parnham.
He ran well. He's sort of getting caught out a little bit on the turn at this track. He's losing ground around the turn, but I felt like in the straight he held his own, so hopefully he goes well in the cups.
Chris Parnham, Queen Elena.
Yeah, good run. She's going on track for Bunbury and Pinjarra Cups.
Jade McNord, Barra Magic.
Yeah, you just can't really sit wide in a race like that.
Natasha Faithful, Caramundi.
Yeah, really good run. Just got too far back, and he'll suit a wider barrier next start.
Stephen Parnham, Soldanell.
Yeah, look, she travelled up okay when I shook her into the straight. Thought she might have done a little bit better late, though, so just need to see where she's at.
Black Fantasy, Clint Johnson Porter.
Yeah, super start to the campaign. Just hope he keeps it up. Hats off to the horse that bet me, because I levelled up to it quite easy and he just put me away. So very good run.
Jason Whiting, Go Bella.
Yeah, great, super effort. She ran a nice fourth and just probably beaten by some quality horses.
Joe as a party, blazing away.
Yeah, just slow away, and then just had a lot of work to do.
Yeah. Lucy Fiore, Holly Enchantment.
It was a good run. They were probably just a little bit sharp for him first up. He hit the line well. I think he'll like the next race.
Julio Santarelli with the beaten jockeys. Let's wrap this race up, boys.
We've touched upon Maraschino, really tough win. Not sure where he goes to next, but what a marvel. Black Fantasy, he's on a Cups path. That was a terrific return. Interesting to see what type of penalty he may receive, having split Maraschino and Casino 17, the two highest rated horses in the race, but a wonderful return. Casino 17 I thought was huge, should have finished closer to the winner, was just on the back of No Apology, and as we heard in the beaten jocks, No Apology for whatever reason just isn't really getting around the corners at Ascot, but once Casino 17 found clear air, found the line really well, and then a few other really nice runs in Go Bella and Queen Elena as well.
Maraschino would be weighted out of the upcoming Cups, would he?
Maybe, but I'm not sure what else there is for him.
So Casino 17 went into yesterday as a 106. Black Fantasy went in as a 95. So there's 11 points between them, but Black Fantasy would no doubt get a few points for that. But I think still with the weight spread, Black Fantasy is going to be very, very hard to beat in the Bunbury Cup next start. Second up, 2,000 metres, probably no Maraschino. I think he's a follow out of yesterday. And also Caramundi, big run yesterday. Not a race that was run to suit, needs a bit more room than that, but I think he can measure up in that sort of level.
Final of the day was the Black Diamond Drilling Services Australia Handicap over the 1400.
Again, tracking Kerodwin in that 3 deep line. Back near the rail, Blazing Tycoon, Manhattan Strip, followed by Charming Bill. And then Marinsky Ballet, Fluoro Neuro looking for the shortest way home near the rail. Goldfriars last of all. Calvinator balanced up, led a length and a half, keep attacking. Johnston Porter going up near the inside with Lord Vampy. Kerodwin is still there. It's Calvinator the leader. Lord Vampy getting around his his heels with Keradrin and Fluoro Neuro flying up near the rail. Lord Vampy surging through in the centre. Lord Vampy's won it. Lord Vampy over Fluoro Neuro, who was scooting right up on the rail. Keradrin probably third from Kelvinator. And then they were followed home by Goldfriars Blazing.
Cobb putting a little bit of extra mayo on that one. I think he tipped it, did he, Lord Vampy? He was on it. Good on you, mate. Beat Fluoro Neuro. Keradrin and Kelvinator back in fourth.
Plenty of people were on this horse.
The world was on it.
And you would have been a little unsure with yourself and your bet at the top of the straight because Clint Johnson Porter had already pulled the stick. It looked like the horse wasn't travelling all that well, but then once he balanced up, I thought it was a lovely ride. He pulled the whip back into the left hand, was able to get around the heels of Kelvinator, and from there found the line really, really nicely. 1,400 metres. I actually don't think it suited him all that well yesterday, despite him winning over that trip. And by the sounds of things, the team are really keen to get him out over 16, 18, 2,000 metres, and hopefully eventually culminates in a WATC Derby tilt.
Yeah, absolutely. Very progressive, this horse. Team has a really big opinion of him, so hopefully he can continue his progression towards the Derby. Fluoro Neuro, great run yesterday. Good ride, saved ground, just bumped into a good one and another couple of strides. Just about wins. Keradrin was tough as nails, ended up having a tough run despite drawing barrier 4, was out there in the cheap seats and went down by less than a length. Kelvinator, a nice run first up after leading, and Blazing Tycoon, who hasn't had a great deal of luck this preparation, was an even run there back in fifth. Cape Attacking was able to get across yesterday after some luckless recent runs, but knocked up late, was beaten 4 lengths in the finish.
You are listening to Racing Rewind on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
All right, let's get a few horses to follow.
3 for me. Why me? Obviously stood out yesterday. Back to a maiden. Woburn Gold, I thought was a good return. Had to carry the big weight. And Rupert's Empire, certainly eligible for easier.
4 for me. Siren Assault, I think, is a really nice filly in the making. Cheeky Charlotte was very good. Ice Pick Nick won yesterday, but I think he's a nice type who can go on with it. And Candlelight Supper, she'll be big odds, but keep an eye on her when she steps up to a staying distance this preparation.
What do we know about the Quokka?
At this stage, I have 8 penciled in, 5 confirmed. That is Amelia's Jewel, Oscar's Fortune, King of Sparta, Ripcord, and Almighty Class. There's 3 more that are very likely and or rumoured, that being Overpass for Ram Racing, Super Smink for Morton Racing, and Triple Missile for Rapid Equine Breeding. That leaves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 remaining, and that is Trackside New Zealand for Perth Racing, Sportsbet, Sky Racing, Magic Bloodstock Racing, Ladbrokes, and Lindsay Smith Racing still to announce their horses.
Okay. We've got the Tap Touch Pinjarra Classic on the Scarp side. Currently, Aztec Rilla's a $4 favourite. You got a thought here, Michael?
Not particularly. I'm looking forward to seeing Tricks of the Trade. I think that'll be my each-way play. And also, actually, both of Troy's rides, Frappuccino, he's going to be the big talking point out of it today.
That's who I'm excited to see out there at Pinjarra this afternoon, going down with Scotty later this morning and Frappuccino after that first up run. Really excited to see what he can do second up.
Later, Ernest, to take us through the morning into the afternoon. Thanks to Sophie Stone for her good work behind the scenes today, and also for David Short. Hope you enjoyed the aftermath and a Racing Rewind. Enjoy your day. Get down to Pinjarra. Enjoy it. It's a great race, the Pinjarra Classic.